everyone. Happy day to you. Welcome to the Sheila C. Hill Show. I hope you're doing well today. Today, oh, Sheila, my song. Hey. Welcome. So, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the SheilaCHillShow.com. I wanted to share something with you today that it was just on my heart, and woo, baby. That's why I come to you. The Sheila C. Hill Show is for lifestyle, entrepreneurship, mental health. So, in this segment today, I'm going to talk about lifestyle and a little of the mental health side, something I was going through on today. And I know many people deal with this. I'm talking about grief. I'm talking about grief. When you have someone that you love and you lose them, you go through stages of grief. Now, there are different stages, and there's a healthy way to grieve, and there's an unhealthy way to grieve. When you're in denial, that is unhealthy. When you stop yourself from going through the emotions, that is unhealthy. When you have fault, when you make excuses, that is unhealthy way to grieve. Now, when I'm talking about grieving, it could be a combination. It could be grieving from someone that you lost that is past. It can be from a relationship. It can be from someone who hurt you. So grief comes in so many different stages. So I'm going to share with you on my grief journey with me losing my baby brother. So back in 23 years ago, I lost my baby brother. And a day does not go by that I do not think about him. I think about him every day, every day, every day. So a lot of people say over time it'll get better. It may get better. Your response to the grief gets better, but the missing of the person, of your loved one, it doesn't per se get better. You just you grow and you get better as a person on how you deal with it, how you handle the grief. Okay. So there's triggers. So there may be triggers that will trigger the grief, and you think you're fine. And the next thing you know, you're all emotional. You don't know what happened, and it could be something so simple as a smell that will set you into that grief. Now, with this grief, you have a choice of what you're going to do with it. Is it going to set you back, or are you going to deal with it at that moment and move forward, right? So, what happened to me this morning, dropped my daughter off at school. I stopped at Walmart, was doing some things, and I was picking up some items, and I passed by the candle aisle, and I smelled like the apple cinnamon, the smell of the fall, right? So I lost my brother in November in the fall, and he it was a few days, maybe like 3 days before his birthday. So we actually had the wake on his birthday. So the scents, the smell, and the chill in the air when I went outside this morning, that chill reminded me of that season when I lost him. The smells when I was in Walmart, the smells of the fall reminded me of that season of when I lost him. So within that season, it was a season of grief, right? So instead of celebrating his birthday, we had to celebrate his passing. So that was all bottled in it. So when that hit me, that smell, it triggered my brain of the time, and I went back for a moment of that night that we lost him. He was riding a motorcycle, somebody pulled out in front of him, and he died. So, with that, I felt all the emotions I felt that night when we were at the hospital waiting to hear from something. The nurses are just waiting to give us the news. All of those emotions of not knowing, all of those emotions just came upon me in that instant. I felt the pain in my heart. I felt like the tears about to well up in my eyes. And it was so hard to process because it just hit me with no warning. And that's what happens sometimes with grief. But I know because I've been through the valley, the ups and the downs of grief. And at one point I found how to grieve properly. So when that reminder came and when that grief come to sit and hit me, just like it blinded me, I was able to pause, take a moment, gather myself, think of the good things, think of the good times with him, understand the season that's coming, be mindful of it, and also to be conscious of my emotions because your emotions can get the best of you. Your emotions can take you down a valley and it can take you down a spiral downfall and it will hold you longer than you want it to stay. So to keep from going down that spiral, the best thing to do is stop at that moment that you experience it. Be true to yourself. Understand what's going on. Understand I'm going through this. Pause, deal with it so you can go further. So I had to take that moment and pause, and I did. And I started thinking about the good times that we have. We're about 21 months apart. When you saw him, you saw me, you saw me, you saw him. We were just almost like twins. We could finish each other's sentences, and it was just a devastating loss. However, life goes on, and you have to go on in a healthy state of mind. And your mental health really matters. A lot of people feel like they cannot go on with the loss of their loved ones. That a lot of people feel, and yes, it is tough as everything. It is tough. So I know with me, for mine to get past it, the help of the Lord, God's presence helped me to get past it. A lot of people may need therapy, talk to someone, because everyone grieves, but it's a matter of how you grieving if it is healthy. Now, when it comes down to the relationships where you've lost someone that you've been in a relationship for a while and you're no longer in that relationship, you suffer grief. So the stages, and you may have the same thing, places that you went, restaurants that you went through, foods, things may remind you of that person. And it's okay to grieve that loss of relationship. It's okay to grieve it. So don't be so hard on yourself, but don't stay in it. Don't sit in the grief too long. Okay. Don't sit in the grief. Understand that you have a purpose and you have to keep pushing forward to get to your purpose. Okay. Now, but you can also share your journey to help other people, just like I'm doing now. You can share those struggles. You can share saying, hey, it's not going to be good days all the time, but it does eventually get better. You get better at dealing with it. And then you start understanding your triggers. So I understand that during the winter months, as the fall is coming in, that is a trigger for me. Am I going to stop living? No, I'm going to deal with it at that moment and celebrate my brother, celebrate the good times, celebrate his life and all of those who loved him, right? So from that, it changes your mindset into a gratitude. So when you become grateful to the things that you have, when you become grateful for the relationships, God is going to say, "Oh, you're grateful. I'm going to continue to bless you." So that you can use that same philosophy in grief. Just become thankful for that person and the time that you had in their lives, okay? And whether it's a child, whether it's your parents, whether it's a good friend or your siblings, your grandparents, understand that there is a way to grieve properly. And it is so important for you to be honest with yourself. Don't be the superwoman. Don't be the superman thinking, oh, I'm tough. I'm tough. No, take that moment. Like I did today, take that moment and take it in. My heart hurt just as bad as the night it happened. My heart hurt like someone stabbed a knife in it and twisted it 25 times. My heart was hurting that I miss my brother. It hurt. But if I stay in that and I sit in that, it's going to do me more damage. And listen, it can get you into depression so easy. That's why it's important to recognize your triggers and get a hold of it, because depression, you can be out here smiling and doing everything you do, doing your job, doing your business, and you're still walking in depression. You know how people have, they're functioning alcoholics? You can be that as well. You can be a function person in depression. So don't live like that, because you're simply existing and you're not living to the fullest, because depression is nothing to play with. Depression, and I'm speaking from experience. I was in such a depressed state that if you see me, you would not know, because I'm always jolly. Hey girl, what's going on? I was always that, but that was for the outside, because I had a wall up to hinder my, well, to block myself, to block my pain, to block everything that I was going through. So, but when I was behind closed doors, I was dealing with depression and the thoughts in my head and the different things that it was just like, why am I here? Why am I dealing with this? Why is it not going anywhere? And it wasn't going anywhere because I wasn't dealing with the root of the depression. I wasn't dealing with the unsolved dilemmas and the different things that I've dealt with, and the hurt and the pain and all of that. I did not deal with it. For whatever reason that you don't deal with the pain and what's causing your depression, you have to understand that you are worthy of dealing with it to get past where you are. You owe it to yourself to fight for yourself. You owe it to yourself to understand what the triggers are that's triggering you. And a lot of people say, "Oh, is this that time?" And you're grumpy the whole season that you may have lost a loved one, right? And you're just treating everyone badly, you're just deflecting, and you're doing everything but dealing with the problem. You're doing everything but dealing with the pain and the hurt. And you're pressing it down and you're pressing it down. And the more you press it down, later in the future, it's going to be harder to deal with. I know someone who had a devastating loss in their marriage. They got divorced. He didn't die. They got divorced. But she put this exterior up that she's tough and she's dealing with it. And it was one thing. It was just one little thing dropped, and it was a trigger for her. The girl cried, cried. People from her family had to come to her house. She could not stop crying because all of that started bubbling up from everything that she's pressing down. And she eventually had to go to a mental ward because she could not process. They couldn't even get her to talk because she was crying so much, because she never dealt with the breakup. She never dealt with the divorce. She never dealt with the loss. So she became depressed, but she tried to handle it herself. And she didn't express how she was feeling, and it just got the best of her. And this is what happens. That's just an example of what can happen when you don't deal with depression, when you don't deal with the hurt in your life, okay? So I'm just saying this. I don't know who I'm saying this for, but I do know I wanted to share it because it's on my heart to share. And if I've been through it and I can help you, this is my platform to help you get past or to deal with the grief in your life, to deal with the hurt, the loss in your life, because It is worth it. You are worth it to live your best life, to live to the fullness, to live happy because you can deal with grief and still be happy. You could be a happy person. It's like, yes, I lost my brother. I love my brother. I think about him every day, but I'm so glad that I had that time with him. I'm so glad we got into the things we got into. And yes, I'm so glad that I had that time with him. So you have to flip it. You have to change your mindset. Mindset is so powerful. Mindset is so powerful. So take these nuggets that I've given you, take my examples that I've given you, and understand I know exactly where you are. Understand that it does get better on the other end of it. However, you've got to deal with yourself. You've got to love yourself enough to fight for yourself. Okay? So thanks for tuning in, guys. Listen, and I call this segment Sheila's Downloads, where I don't have a guest. I just share what's on my heart. Um, and my platform, the Sheila C. Hill Show, it is a show to highlight things in life to help you get past these things, whether it's financial, whether it's spiritual, whether it's mental, whether it's physical. I'm going to share so many different things that I have went through in life. I'm going to share people's stories that will inspire you. And this is the whole point of my podcast. So if you have not subscribed, I will ask you to subscribe to the Sheila C. Hill Show.com, where we just focus on lifestyle, entrepreneurship, and mental health. And today, I want you to take care of your mental health when it comes to grief. All right. Just know that you are loved and you are highly appreciated. So it's time to go. Until next time on the Sheila C. Hill Show. Have a blessed day.